of the new rules of divorce and is an expert in all things matrimonial. We're joined today by Jacqueline Newman. She is an attorney. And Jacqueline, these questions we're going to cover today have been really top of mind for so many. Thank you for making time to join us on Virginia this morning.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's absolutely our pleasure. Want to dive right in. This is a scenario that many individuals across the country, across the globe have probably experienced at this point if they share custody with maybe a former spouse or an ex. When parents may experience the other parent refusing to get a COVID test or a COVID shot, are there legal steps that they can take in terms of preventing them from interacting with the children? I know this is a broad question and a lot of ground to cover, but this must be something that's coming up pretty frequently for you.
It is. So obviously we're in new terrain when it comes to all of this COVID stuff. And so there's a lot of people asking questions, like what happened in the past? I said, there's never been a past about this. There's no precedent. But that said, where we are right now, so let's just kind of break it into two pieces. There's the COVID tests and then there's the vaccines. So in regard to the COVID tests, there are some parents that are taking positions and they're using it almost as instead of a shield, they're using it as a sword. And they're basically saying, until you get a test, you're not going to see the children. Now, when you're in a situation where you have already an executed agreement, so these are ex-spouses that have a parenting agreement already in place, you're not going to be able to probably say you're not going to see the children unless you get a test. That said, the standard is the best interest of the children. So if it's ultimately being seen that a parent is, trying to prevent the child from seeing the parents because they're saying, you have to test, every day or something really that's just so over the top, I think a court's going to say, no, that's not in the best interest of the children. So you can't do it. I think if parents are reasonable, if somebody travels, if there are certain things that had happened and people are not following protocols, you could probably use that as some sort of reason as to not see the children, but you're going to need court permission if there's already a signed agreement.
It's interesting because, as you said, it's all new terrain. And in your world, there really hasn't been a precedent like this. But in many cases, or most cases, terms have been explored and put in an agreement already. So if that's in place, that's most likely going to cover those scenarios. That's in terms of getting a shot or getting a test. What about the scenario with schools? Now, we are on the cusp of entering a situation where we're headed to summer. So that's probably, we're going to have a reprieve, so to speak, in many cases. But as we look ahead to the fall, what are you seeing on that horizon?
So that's also been a major issue that's been going on. I practice in New York City. And so, a lot of people have left the city and, the New York City schools, New York City was a little bit of a hub at one point for COVID. And so you had a lot of people that left the city. And then you had a lot of people that remained in the city, but didn't want to put their kids in school. And so a lot of schools were on hybrid and you had a lot of parents, especially, we deal in the high net worth space where a lot of our children go to private school where you're spending $60,000 or $70,000 a year. And there was a lot of pushback where you had one parent that said, I'm spending $60,000, send that child to school. And you had the other parent that said, no, that's like, I'm sending my kid into a COVID den. I'm not going to do that. And so there was a lot of fighting about it. As the courts and as the schools are becoming, people are definitely taking a position that they're safer, they're doing more mandatory testing. We're kind of moving toward that. I think definitely by the fall, there will be, I think the schools are going to be open. I'm hoping the schools will be open and we're going to be in a situation where parents are not going to be in a position to say that the kids can't go. So really, even at this point, I think that if courts are saying, the schools are safe and if one parent wants the child to go, odds are the child is going to be going to school.
Clear, great expert insights. Thank you so much, Jacqueline Newman, for making time and spending that with us this morning.
It was my pleasure. Thank you.
We appreciate it. Author of The New Rules of Divorce. And we'll share a link on our website, WTVR.com/VTM, so that friends watching today can learn a little bit more.